Hi, it's Nancy welcoming you to Gardens Grow. It's August the 20th and I woke up to this beautiful bloom. This is I think it's called a tie-dye, but it's a morning glory. And it is my favorite of the morning glories that I've had. So bright and beautiful. And I love it. Although, if you've had any experience with morning glories, you know you have to trim those things back before they put their seed down, or you're going to have so many of them the following year you may not have anything else in your garden. But these don't seem to be quite as invasive, and I always want just a few of them, at least one, in my garden. Look at this little plant. It's totally stripped of its foliage, and I bet if we look closer we can see some of the culprits on this little plant. They look like blister bugs, like gray blister bugs, and these are the ones that will take out my celotias, take out my Clematis or Clematis, and I don't know what else, but definitely those. So I sprayed for them, but evidently I missed this one little plant, and they have stripped it down. Well, here we go. I guess I must have missed this little bush Clematis too. We can get down there and show you. There's one crawling right there, and I saw some actually on the plant. I'm not seeing, oh, there's one right there. There's one right there. So yeah, they're all over it. Already taken it somewhat down. So I'll have to spray that too. I just wanted to say that it's still pretty imperative that I water every single day. Look at this. Every day it looks like this or worse. But whenever I water it, it perks back up, thank goodness. So usually it's sitting here looking great. But I do have to be out here every day, or it would just totally wilt down and stay in the wilted down state, I'm sure. While my youngest daughter was here, she helped me to clear out my path. And I did start another little pot of chrysanthemums, but I don't know if they'll make it because the heat is on. The heat is back on today, even though we did get a wonderful rain last night. How wonderful of a rain did we get? This wonderful of a rain, and it was pretty much unexpected and just a wonderful, refreshing one of the several that we've had this year, which is just wonderful. I don't know if you can see it from this angle, and I don't know if you could tell from the other that it's just a little over 1 3/4 inch of rain, so almost 2 inches. So this is how my little mums look right now. They don't have a root. I left all of the root over where we cleaned it out because I wanted it there, and the bushy part was not the root part, but just what grew from the root. So all of this is just trimmed out, and it doesn't have a root, but I'm hoping it will build itself a root, and we'll have a whole nother pot of mums, and possibly we may even have them to flower, because I didn't trim the bloom off, but I'm not sure. We'll just have to see. I don't really know if they'll even make it since it's going to be hot, but they could make it, and so we'll see what will become of this little pot. My gorgeous fern had fallen over in the little storm that we had. I didn't realize we had the wind up enough for it to blow it over, but it did. So I had to come out here and look at these in the hopes that they did not blow over, and luckily they did not. They're still standing. I can't quite get over how the iris have done. I don't know if you can remember or look back and see what a scraggly little grouping of iris that were dying I had here, and now they're just wonderful. My husband trimmed our trees back to give them some sunlight, and it just made a world of difference. Today is August the 27th, and it's a couple of degrees cooler than normal for us, and I hope these little plants can feel it, because I certainly can't. I can't tell that it's any cooler at all. It's still miserably hot, and I long for the days when we can come out and actually enjoy being out here instead of just putting up with the heat, as long as we feel we need to take care of the gardens and then get back inside where it's cooler. But it has been a lovely season. We've had rains that refreshed at times when we desperately needed that refreshing. And we've even had little bouts of cooler weather that we've enjoyed so much. Some of my mums are beginning to open their little buds. I was going to show you one of my morning glories. Earlier this morning they were opened up, but I'll have to put a picture on for you because they're closed up for this little clip. But this is one of my favorite morning glories. Yesterday I did find some of the coconut liners that I'm going to save for spring, and when I need one I'll have those, and they had them on sale, so that was really good that I came at an opportune time to get some of those and have them ready for next spring. The autumn clematis or clematis is still filling out beautifully. I hope it will be just a beautiful mound of white. Sometimes it can do that, but other times it seems to get fill out on one side and then that part of it turn brown, and you can see that right here it is beginning to a bit. So some of these blooms are going away while others are coming, but I just love it when they all come close enough to the same time that it can just be one big billow of beautiful white bloom. My castor bean is still doing great. Oh my goodness, it's putting on lots of seeds up there. I'll have to be sure to get these taken down before they open up and go everywhere, because this is a beautiful plant and I always want one in the garden, but I don't want them to just go everywhere either, and they can do that. And I'm seriously thinking about making some of my little cocoa liner pots, filling them out next year with maybe some sedums or some succulents, some ground cover type things. And I don't know if that would work, but I know that sometimes ground covers look great spilling out of a container, and I've just had such a struggle to keep things going in these little pots, even though when the calabachoa does this well, it makes me want all of these pots done and beautiful hanging over the basket calabachoas. I just love it so, but it's very unusual that it lasts even this long in the garden. And this one had one on the other side too, which is totally gone, as well as this one had one on either side and a fan flower in the middle, and the fan flower is basically the only thing that still even has a bloom. And the calabachoas, I don't even know if it's probably non-existent on this side, but on this side it does have a little spindly piece there. Not that I expect it will pick up and go, but that would be fine with me if it did. But I'm thinking I would probably have better luck to just put some pretty succulents in these little pots, or maybe even some rose moss. This little rose moss is doing great. And this little pot has looked great at times and then not so great at other times. And I think I did already show you, but I also did go ahead and put a little ground cover here. And I don't know if this will make it here. I don't even know if it's a good idea, but it would be pretty if it would do well there. And I just think this little fennel, however you say this, is just a great little accent plant for the garden. I had one once before and it came back for several years, and then I think perhaps a rodent or something got it, but I'm glad to have one back in the garden again. I just love this little airy, ferny looking foliage. And yesterday I also found this little pot and this little pot stand, and I got it in the red because the little bird bath is red, and I thought they might just kind of help set one another off. I haven't yet found one of the little miniature plant stands that I use a lot, and I would love to have one right here in this little pot so that I could set this little angel up where you could see her. I wanted to go over here and get this pretty little hibiscus bloom for you this morning. And this is the blue cardinal flower, along with some sedum. This is autumn joy sedum, and it will be showing its color before very long. And I was just going to come out for a little while and get a few pictures, and I have run into a mosquito swarm, and they are just really bothering me this morning. So that may pretty much force me to go in a little bit sooner than I had originally planned to. I hate being mosquito bit. Takes forever for those to heal on me, and of course I scratch them like crazy. This little pot I noticed was looking terrible, and so I tried to put a better drainage hole in it, and it looks like it maybe worked because they're picking up just a little bit. I would hate to lose this pretty little arrangement in here that was pretty and hopefully will be again. And my little pot of mums that I'm trying to root is looking really terrible, but they're still green there, so if they're building a root, they could still be a beauty before it's all over. I'm hoping that will happen. I think this little autumn embers begonia is going to be another favorite if it will just live through the winter for me. That's where my problem lies with trying to do begonias, but I have totally fallen for them. This is the one that made me fall for begonias, is this beautiful polymer prints Rex begonia. I love it so very much, and I like this a lot too, this beautiful little plant that my friend Alma gave me. Don't you just love the filigree look of it? So pretty, so eye-catching. And I still need to thin out this little three-tiered pot and get it to where it will hopefully look better. Although I'm proud that my calabachoa lived so far in this, not all of it did live. You can tell there's a little white one right there that just is scraggly like the ones that I just showed you on the other side of the garden, but these two have done well here, and so I'm thinking, well, maybe next year I'll try my calabachoa in this three-tiered pot, and it's under the weeping willow tree, so possibly that it just needed a little more shade. I don't know. Actually, that west fence gets some shade too, so I really don't know what the difference is, but I do know I want to learn to grow and keep this beautiful calabachoa through the whole season. And here's another two little pots that I'm pretty sure I'm going to do in just succulents or sedum, something that will do a lot better. And I love the purslane moss in them, but even it only blooms when the sun is shining, and so I think I just want some pretty little sedums that will stay and look good. Although in early spring and when the cooler weather of fall gets here, I think these will shape up and do better and be pretty, but they just look so scraggly the rest of the time that I think I could just do better by putting succulents in them, which would hopefully be pretty all season long. something like this little pot. I've got two different sedums in here, and they just kind of play off of each other. They don't take much water, so they're fine in this little pot and right in the sun bearing down on them, and they don't mind at all. As a matter of fact, I think they love it. So I noticed there's a little bloom on this little, it's either a weed or I think it might possibly be the orange lanterns, and I'm hoping that's what it is. That'd be fun to have that in the garden. Oh, and here of course is another little pot of sedum and rose moss, and this is looking good and has stayed looking good all season long so far. This little pot needs to be changed out, but I don't think it's a good time to do it, and things are still living in it. This beautiful Rudbeckia is in that pot, and it is so pretty this year. I certainly don't want to lose it. I don't know if this comes back from a seed. I was thinking that I planted it from a seed, but then I got to thinking again, and I realized that I actually purchased this plant. So I don't know if they reseed themselves or if I can plant it from a seed, but I need to find that out, because I wouldn't want to be without this little Rudbeckia now that I have it in the garden. It's so pretty. And I really love this combination of the licorice plant and the alternanthera. They just really look good together. And then of course I've got some coleus and some angelonia in this pot too. I just really like this little pot, although it doesn't keep water really well enough, because when I come out in the evening it's always just wilted down. But so far it's came back out each morning, so that's a good deal. So sedums will be turning their pretty colors everywhere before very long. This one in this pot, I believe, is the small thundercloud sedum, kind of like a miniature sedum, and it is white, but I love the white as well as the other pretty colors, and I think this one you can tell is going to be a pink. I'm not sure if it's the Sedum Brilliance or the Sedum Autumn Joy, but either way it's very pretty. I'm still loving my new little plant stand, and the things that I put on it are looking good. And then right behind it I have some plants started for my friend Oma. She wanted some of this creeping Jenny in this paler green color, which I love this too. I have some of it growing as a ground cover, and in the springtime I usually just pull some of it up and put it in my pots to use for little trindles in the pot coming down the sides of the pots, if it's something that I need a little extra along the edge for. And you can see that I put these Lenten roses in the pots in the front, and they did not do well. They were dying, and this one is coming back. I'm so glad. I don't want to lose my beautiful Lenten roses. And while I was looking at that, I see that I also have some toad lilies in bloom. These are just tiny, tiny little lilies, but they're so pretty with their purple polka dots on white. I have truly loved these beautiful giant cactus zinnias this year. All of them have just been little show-offs. Also in bloom are the asters, the pretty purple asters. Still not seeing any sign of my 9 bark. Oh, I hate to lose that beautiful plant. Thank you to all my subscribers, and if you haven't already, please be sure to like and to subscribe to the channel.